afternoon and welcome to From Where We Are, stories of news and culture through the lens of USC and Southern California. I'm Malcolm Caminero, coming to you live from Studio B in USC's Annenberg Media Center.
And I'm Natalie Lozano. It's Wednesday, November 1st. On today's show, the history behind Native American History Month. Gas prices continue to fall in California. And how has Mike Johnson been performing during his first week as House Speaker? All that and more.
From where we are.
First, let's go to our headlines and find out what's going on in the world. Diego Insunza, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Malcolm and Natalie. First, let's get to our headlines. According to U.S. and Egyptian officials, hundreds of individuals, including some U.S. citizens and seriously injured Palestinians, have left Gaza for Egypt. This is the first time since the Israel-Hamas war began in early October that many people have been able to escape the war-torn territory. The U.S. State Department said that more Americans and injured Palestinians will be released out of Gaza in the coming days. A refugee camp near Gaza City was hit by heavy airstrikes for the second day in a row. According to officials in Gaza, more than 8,000 Palestinians have died. More than 1,400 people in Israel were killed in an attack by Hamas, who also took more than 200 hostages. Earlier today, Donald Trump Jr. testified in the New York civil fraud case against his family and their business, the Trump Organization. Former President Trump's two sons, Don Jr. and Eric, are accused of willingly participating in a scheme to pump up their father's net worth for the company's own financial gain. In court today, Trump Jr. testified that he had no part in preparing a fraudulent financial statement in 2017, although his role was a trustee of his father's assets, including the Trump Organization. Trump Jr. testified for less than 90 minutes this afternoon and is expected to continue testifying on Thursday morning. Thousands of residents were forced out of their homes in Riverside County early this week after a vegetation fire, now dubbed the Highland Fire, blew up in size. The fire, now about 15% controlled, burned through more than 2,400 acres and destroyed multiple homes along the way. So far, there has been one reported injury, with more than 4,000 people under order to evacuate. The origin of the fire remains unclear. However, the dry air and strong winds in Riverside County definitely contributed to the spread. Today is the first day of Native American Heritage Month. Throughout November, the Native American Student Assembly at USC will be hosting events. We'll have more details about the celebrations later in the broadcast. And that's it for our headline news. Back to you.
Thank you, Diego. Mike Johnson, a conservative Republican from Louisiana, became the Speaker of the House last Wednesday, ending 3 weeks of chaos. One of his first acts? A long weekend break. The House is back in session today, and there are a lot of things on Johnson's plate. Makai Singleton has the story.
Let the enemies of freedom around the world hear us loud and clear. The People's House is back in business.
The U.S. government will shut down on November 17th unless the House passes a spending bill for future government funding. This requires bipartisan support since Democrats control the Senate 51-49. Johnson will also need support from his colleagues, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Yet, Punchbowl News, an online daily political outlet in Washington, D.C., reported last week Johnson has never met with McConnell. Another big thing on Johnson's to-do list this week is the $105 billion national security package that includes aid to Israel and Ukraine, which Biden deems crucial.
American leadership is what holds the world together. American alliances are what keep us, America, safe. American values are what make us a partner that other nations want to work with. To put all that at risk, if we walk away from Ukraine, if we turn our backs on Israel, it's just not worth it.
Johnson has a lot on his plate this first week, and we'll see how he handles all the items on his to-do list as the year comes to an end. Reporting for Annenberg Media, I'm Makai Singleton.
Around 100 protesters came out to show solidarity with Palestine. At 5 p.m. yesterday, the USC March for Gaza wound through campus with protesters aiming complaints directed against USC and Annenberg Media. Reporter Marie-Louise Leone covered the protests and today spoke with an expert in Middle Eastern studies.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Last evening saw a passionate demonstration on campus meant to show solidarity with Palestine. The USC Students for Justice in Palestine led a march of about 100 protesters across campus. Many protesters wore scarves or masks to obscure their faces and did not give their names, citing concerns about their personal safety. But they had a strong message to deliver. One of the march's leaders called for Annenberg Media to, quote, take responsibility for their content.
It's time for the Daily Trojan and Annenberg Media to take responsibility for the impact of their content. Let's work together to ensure accurate, fair, and respectful coverage that upholds the principles of journalism. And I don't need to teach that to the #1 journalism school in the country.
Professor Sarah Gualtieri, an expert in Middle Eastern studies, describes how the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza is viewed from different perspectives.
It's very important for your listeners to understand that the establishment of the modern state of Israel in 1948 is understood very differently among different populations. So in an Israeli textbook, this would be referred to as a war of independence. But in Arabic language textbooks, this same date, the same event, so to speak, is referred to as a catastrophe, a historic loss of Palestine and the emergence of a massive refugee population.
Gualtieri says that anti-Arab racism is challenging Arab Americans, and particularly in this moment, Palestinian Americans.
I mean, you've had Arab migration to the Americas, including the United States, really since the late 19th, early 20th century. And I have worked in my both academic and activist life with young Arab Americans, most especially who are encountering challenging forms of anti-Arab racism.
On USC's campus, the Palestinian supporters gave a strong message.
Our commitment is resolute. We will not cease until the atrocities in Palestine come to an end, and until every Trojan's First Amendment rights are fully protected. Never thought I'd say that in 2023. I tell each one of you that puts $80,000 and still does not have a voice on this campus, that one day we will be free. One day, I will take off this mask.
Gualtieri says the protesters are not the only ones concerned about backlash. She has known people who have lost jobs over their position on the conflict, faculty who have been told not to share their statements publicly. She herself says she chooses carefully when speaking to media nowadays.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire
For Annenberg Media, I'm Marie-Louise Leone.
Annenberg Media did provide a statement from the editor yesterday after the protest. It said, Annenberg Media acknowledges the criticisms levied against us by the Students for Justice in Palestine. In our coverage across all platforms, each piece undergoes a formal review process by editors and producers who act on guidance from the Equity Board and also work with Annenberg faculty staff. The newsroom stands by the totality of this coverage. We will continue to cover all voices fairly and work diligently to represent how students across our campus are feeling about this conflict. We reiterate, when referencing Hamas, a Palestinian militant group and U.S. recognized terrorist group, we do not conflate it with all Palestinians. We also acknowledge that not all individuals calling for peace in Gaza are advocating or supporting the actions done by Hamas.
Nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels.
How tall does a presidential candidate need to be elected? Ron DeSantis' choice of footwear takes the debate 2 inches further. Reporter Thomas LeGrand has the story.
The 2024 Republican primaries are fast approaching, and for candidates running for president, image matters more than ever. The average U.S. president is about 2 inches taller than the average American man, who is 5'9". So, do voters like tall presidents? One study found it definitely does. Voters see tall politicians as better suited for leadership because they are seen as physically imposing, according to that study published by Social Science Quarterly. Barack Obama is 6'2" and Donald Trump is 6'3", while President Joe Biden is 6 feet tall. There's been a lot of speculations over what kind of shoes the Florida governor wears. A hashtag Bootgate took social media by storm as posts mocking DeSantis have been racking up millions of views. Rumor has it that DeSantis has adopted a wardrobe trick to juice his stats. He is known for wearing black cowboy boots. Thanks to this trick, DeSantis has allegedly added over 2 inches to his height. According to the Washington Post, only 6 presidential candidates who were shorter than their opponents won their elections between 1916 and 2012. Here is Camille Cavan, executive director of USC Center for the Political Future.
It is true that, at least during the age of television, that taller candidates tend to do better than their shorter candidates. That is a fact.
DeSantis has been vigorously denying the rumors, but shoe experts say that they believe he is wearing height-boosting insoles to pump himself up against a potential Donald Trump primary frontrunner. Zefan Parker, a bootmaker, said in an interview for Politico that he has made height-increasing cowboy boots for a number of politicians, including DeSantis. Stature, height, and body language are soft weapons that politicians use to dominate their opponents during debates. Luc Lemontour, who's a junior majoring in French, says voters might not think that height and appearance matter that much, but they do.
Because I think appearance does play a lot into personal bias and what we support and what we like.
But physical features are not everything, as Cavan says.
The perception of tallness is more in the mythology category than the reality category. But correlation is not causation, and there's many other factors that will determine the candidate's success as opposed to their height. That plenty of people who are not 6 feet and above have wielded tremendous global power.
For Annenberg Media, I'm Thomas Legrand.
Malcolm, do you by any chance celebrate Dia de los Muertos?
I do, yeah. So at my house, and actually at my apartment too, we set up a little ofrenda. We set up an ofrenda and we'll put up pictures of passed away family members and close friends and bake them some of their favorite dishes, like con and some really good bizcoches.
Nice. Well, today in downtown Los Angeles, the Gloria Molina Park celebrated Dia de los Muertos. There were over 20 ofrendas that paid homage to different people and pets who have passed. Reporter Madison Hogue tells us about the sights and scenes of today's celebration of life.
Walking up to the memorials on the gravel path of the park, one is immediately greeted with the sound of Spanish music on the speakers and a fountain roaring. All around, there are altars decorated in colorful flags with flowers, photographs, and candles. This is the 12th annual Dia de los Muertos at the Gloria Molina Grand Park. The altars represent the belief in Mexican culture that loved ones who have passed come back to life on this one day. One specific altar is highlighting the victims of the Maui fire and Monterey Park shooting. While the traditions of the day differ in Mexico, it is important to see Los Angeles celebrating the culture, as said by Fidelina Romero.
In Mexico, they go to the cemeteries, they clean the graveyards, and they take music, so it's different.
Romero is a Spanish teacher at Fairfax High School. She brought around 25 students from the Latino Student Union to the park today.
We wanted to expose the students to the culture because not a lot of them know about this place and Olvera Street, and especially during this celebration, we wanted them to see and learn a little bit more about it.
The park was filled with visitors admiring the altars. Krista Campos is the marketing manager for the park.
I'm actually from Oaxaca, and that's kind of where I grew up on this. Because I'm not able to go back home right now, it's that I get to see a little bit here. And it's just a nice little piece of home to be here at the park.
While on a break from jury duty, Jennifer Patton, who is the CEO of Inspired Change Collective, is examining the ofrendas. She is soaking in the beauty of the colors and the photos of past loved ones on display.
When you think of grief, I heard this phrase, it's the love that you didn't get to share when they were here. So I think that there's a really beautiful aspect of people getting to express that love even if they're not here physically, because you have that sense of them being here spiritually.
The Dia de los Muertos altars will be open for the last day tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. There will be a special showing of the 1960 Mexican film Macario. For Annenberg Media, I'm Madison Ho.
SAG-AFTRA met again today, this time with a deal in sight. As Piper Vaughn reports, on the 111th day of the strike, members say they're feeling the weight, but they're remaining hopeful.
Almost 4 months in, SAG-AFTRA members are still at it. Holding signs outside of Disney Studios in Burbank, picketers were out in full force. After all this time, strikers must be feeling the physical impacts of the strike. From walking on cement, facing the heat, to listening to cars honking, it seems like all of this would take its toll. But members say the challenges are what actually unify them.
There's no rank, there's no role, there's no number on the call sheet, it's just unity.
That's SAG-AFTRA gate captain Romel De Silva.
Everyone's unified, so it's bringing up our spirits, and honestly, being together in a collective unit kind of brings us our spirits up.
Robin McWilliams agrees. She's a gate captain at Gate 3. She says being on the picket line is worth the physical and mental toll it's taken on her.
There's been a few moments where some of the strike captains have almost been hit by cars, so that does tend to wear on you, but it doesn't stop us. It just fuels us and pisses us off.
No word on when the strike may be over, but several A-listers have reportedly said a deal could be coming soon. For Annenberg Media, I'm Piper Vaughn.
For about a month, gas prices in both LA and Orange County have continued to trend downward, mirroring the shift on the larger state and national level. But, as Joseph Domingot reports, many people in Southern California have no idea about these dramatic drops.
Gas prices have dropped to about $1.30 over the past month in LA County. Many people still seem pessimistic about the cost of gasoline and the possibility of it increasing. Hannah McLean, a USC sophomore majoring in real estate development, expressed her concern with the prices, especially for students.
I think they're very high, definitely expensive, but I feel like it's just kind of like part of the natural economic cycle, I guess, that prices will raise and lower.
The average prices of gasoline have lowered in the state. In fact, this week alone, it dropped to about $5.29 a gallon. That's a savings of about 15 cents per gallon. Brent Blair, a professor at USC's School of Dramatic Arts, thinks that it is a positive, but says gas is pretty high, and he has a hybrid.
So I bought one that has flex fuel, which means it takes ethanol, but I'm filling it up once a week, and it's really expensive. Even ethanol is half the price of gas. It's still $60, $70 a week.
The national average cost of a gallon of gas has dropped nearly $1.50 since peaking at over $5 in June 2022. Patri Escolar, a junior business administration major at USC, says she didn't know prices dropped so dramatically in the past month.
I did notice when they went up. Last year, I think they started going up a lot, but I haven't noticed them going down.
With the new winter blend of gasoline arriving soon for the holidays, gas prices are expected to decrease even further, and hopefully people will get to take advantage of that. For Annenberg Media, I'm Joseph Domingot.
Swish, swish, bish. Another one in the basket.
The Los Angeles Clippers are set to face the Los Angeles Lakers tonight at Crypto.com Arena, kicking off their first 4 meetings this season. Victor Kevorkian has the story.
Both LA teams are coming off of sloppy, closely knit contests against the visiting Orlando Magic and will look to make a statement tonight against their inner city rival. The Clippers are 30-6 in their last 36 games against the Lakers.
The Clippers own the Lakers. They've won 16 times in a row or whatever the number is. It's like a ridiculous number.
That's Rob Parker. He's a professor at USC Annenberg, a TV sports analyst, and has a nightly national radio sports talk show.
The Clippers own the Lakers. I don't think anything's going to change, so I'm going to go with the Clippers.
As for the Lakers, they've listed key contributors Rui Hachimura as out and Gabe Vincent as doubtful for tonight's contest. The Lakers are already without forward Jared Vanderbilt, as their injury list has grown quickly in this young season.
Their big issue, again, is the one that the Clippers have to deal with. It's injury. I mean, Anthony Davis seems to get hurt all the time, and LeBron, year 21, he's been hurt a number of years here.
But perhaps the biggest story in the NBA was the Clippers trading for all-star guard James Harden. This move felt like a long time coming, as Harden expressed immense desire to team up with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George throughout the offseason. Harden will not be activated tonight and is expected to make his Clipper debut on Monday against the Knicks. Overall, Parker is optimistic.
A healthy James Harden and a healthy Kawhi Leonard, healthy Paul George, they have a shot to be in the Western Conference Finals.
Both squads look to stay healthy this season, with high expectations riding on both teams this year. Tip-off from downtown LA is at 7 p.m. For Annenberg Media, I'm Victor Kevorkian.
November 1st marks the beginning of Native American Heritage Month. As Kyla Drew reports, the USC campus is honoring the stories, culture, and traditions of the Native American community.
In 1990, President George H.W. Bush took a stand and proclaimed November a time to honor tribal nations and recognize Native Americans as the first people to inhabit American land. Junior Amaya Roach Valandra, who serves on the Cultural Affairs E-Board for USC's Native American Student Assembly, or NASA, explains the importance of the month.
Native American Heritage Month is a month to celebrate the culture and resiliency of Indigenous people all around. And it's important to celebrate it just because not many people technically know that Natives are still here, are aware that they're on Native land.
She says throughout history, the Native American identity has been diminished through oppression and forced assimilation into American culture. NASA, an organization that represents the voices of the Native American community on campus, is celebrating the month with student-held events to spread awareness about the importance of Native American history.
Today we are starting with November 1st, we're starting with beaded jewelry, which will be held in TCC. And also there's an event on Han Plaza on November 15th at 12, which will be a speakers event along with traditional bird singing and traditional dances will be there.
However, these events aren't just for Native American individuals. NASA is inviting all students to participate and learn about their diverse culture.
So I encourage everyone to come and, learn about the community and see that we're kind of all around you.
Throughout the month of November, people can continue to learn about and celebrate the achievements of Native Americans. For Annenberg Media, I'm Kyla Drew, reporting with Kaylee Bryant.
Les rêves des amoureux sont comme le bon vin. Ils donnent de la joie ou bien du chagrin.
Okay, Malcolm, have you ever been to Paris before?
Paris, Texas? Because that's the only Paris my budget can handle.
Okay, fair enough. I probably couldn't even go to Paris, Texas, to be completely honest with you.
C'est la vie.
But I do mean Paris, as in Paris, France.
I have not, unfortunately.
Well, I know it's a very popular destination for marriage proposals.
Is it really? You're right. I've seen this in films before. Oh, a candlelit dinner, walk on the Panu, maybe a wonderful night under the stars, if you will.
Well, but what about after an arrest?
Absolutely not. No way am I doing anything having to do with any arrest.
Fair enough. But apparently this couple decided to visit Paris, and they were at the Eiffel Tower, and a man was arrested for, well, this is really random, but he was climbing the tower, and the visitors were stranded at the top.
That's insane. What happened?
Well, among those who were stranded was a couple, and the man was hoping to propose later on in the evening, but he decided to pop the question.
Aww. What'd she say?
She said yes.
Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about. Congrats to that happy couple.
And that's all we have time for on today's From Where We Are. Issa Johnson, Kyla Drew, Amy Lopez, and Jack Waterman produced today's show. We had help from Diego Inzunza, Piper Vaughn, Thomas Legrand, Mackay Singleton, and Madison Hogue, and Maurice Louise Leon, who also helped AP the show.
Our board operator is AC Schick. Our live stream manager is Jesse Chen and Nina Mutadat, and Derek Renfro composed our theme music.
Catch us live on YouTube at Annenberg Radio News Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Subscribe to From Where We Are wherever you're listening right now. And finally, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Annenberg Radio. I'm Natalie Lozano.
And I'm Malcolm Caminero. From all of us at Annenberg Radio, wherever you are, we'll hope you'll join us again for
From Where We Are.